have to shout like this, or maybe I should just talk like right about here? Oh gosh, is this whole thing gonna be about my childhood? My name is Matthew Finkelstein, and I am, gosh, what am I? I've been a lot of things. Pioneer, a pot grower, I lived on kibbutz, political guerrilla theater clown, and a leader in different Jewish spaces and in different spaces in the Democratic Party. I was like a huge Bernie Sanders supporter. I know like all the Trump people in Israel will be very disappointed to hear that, but you can hear it, it's okay. You didn't ask about any of that, but I guess I'm telling you. So, you know, I was raised in an Orthodox home, and my dad got a harebrained idea that he was gonna come out here and grow marijuana. So of course the business failed. Of course, like, you know, everything went to ruin. And then in 2017, this is where my life took a kind of a crazy turn. Like, we went into the California Democratic Party, and it was nuts. It was just nuts. All they were talking about was how Israel was an apartheid state in the Progressive Caucus, and how Zionism was racism. And like, we couldn't believe it. So I said, okay, we've got to really rethink this. There's a problem here, okay? There's just a problem with anti-Semitism. That's like really obvious. And then we formed a group called Progressive Zionists of California. And we work in the Democratic Party, and we work in progressive spaces. And, you know, for us, Zionism is a progressive Jewish value. You know, and Israel is one of the most diverse places on the planet that still manages to hold it together somehow. That's not to say that Israel doesn't have work to do. It definitely does. And as far as I'm concerned, here in the diaspora, in the galut, it's important that that we try to work out some of these issues. But the conditions of the diaspora are such that, like, I think Jews have just learned to be quiet and keep their heads down. Like, it's just as different as can be from Israel, just as different as can be. And I think the worst problem that we have, if I can be like perfectly honest with you, is like this whole finger pointing thing where it's like Democrats like anti-Semitism only exists on the Republican side, and Republicans like anti-Semitism only exists on the Democrat side. And they're just firing at each other, and Jews are getting caught in the crosshairs, right? If you're in your house and there's a mess, get to it. Start taking responsibility for the mess in your backyard.
Do you feel that you're cleaning the mess in your own backyard, or are you putting it on that huge idea instead of dealing with your own mess inside? You said before, I don't want to talk about my childhood. I don't want to talk about...
Oh, I see. Am I making tshuva by cleaning the house out, right? Is that basically the question? I don't know what I am today, okay? Because like, I work with both Chabad and the conservative synagogue locally, but for me, a Jew is a Jew.
So your wife isn't Jewish?
No, not Jewish.
So does that change your love for her?
No, because we have an understanding, and not just an understanding, but like, she has a love of the Jewish people, and she exemplifies that in everything she does. She's been like a big player with Hadassah regionally, secretary for the synagogue. She's building Jewish spaces in a Jewish future, right? What could be more Jewish than that?
If you go by the orthodox, then if you have children with your wife, then your children won't be Jewish.
It doesn't matter what we have to say about them as to whether or not they're Jewish. Who's gonna listen, right? There's a reason that, you know, that Israel gears its identity around who is a Jew, to include patrilineal descent, to include whether or not your grandmother or grandfather was Jewish in your consideration for Aliyah. And that's because that's how Hitler defined who was a Jew. And regarding, you know, our children, I mean, yeah, we'll just have to cross that bridge when we get to it. I can tell you what's important to me as a Jew. What's important to me is the survival of the Jewish people and Jewish identity. And I know that for amongst Orthodox Jews that, you know, our children, and we would adopt, I suppose, but our children wouldn't be considered Jewish unless they went through an Orthodox conversion. And maybe that would be a problem, and maybe it wouldn't. But I'll tell you what isn't a problem. The continued survival and well-being of the Jewish people and the love that we share for each other. When it comes to dealing with our differences, they're not more important than dealing with our collective challenges, okay? And when our collective challenges are anti-Semitism, on those issues, we need to come together, right? And where we have differences about who is a Jew and what have you, we should respectfully defer. Respectfully. I absolutely respect anyone's idea about who is a Jew and who isn't, as long as they're not beating people over the head with it. Boy, I can't stand that. You don't want to call someone up to the Torah? Fine. You don't want to include in the minyan? Okay. But you're going to sit there and berate them about how they're not Jewish enough? That's garbage.
So where did all your motivation come from?
Man, that's a tough one. I was definitely born with it. I'm a Levite, and there's a reason that we're not allowed to own land in the Bible. That's because they were afraid that we would put fortresses on it and take over everything. So they had to like basically say, all right, you just wash the curtains in the temple and sing a song. That's what we need you to do, buddy.
Do you sing nicely?
I sing. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't even mention that. Yeah, I sing for my congregation. I sing at Chabad when Rabbi calls me up. Singing is something that I do. I'll sing one for you.
So when you look ahead and you say, what do I want to succeed for myself? What do you think that the answer will be?
I just want to make a big difference, like, and you need a community for that, man. Like, I mean, there's a reason that it's called the shchuna, because that's what's up in your neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, it's the shechina is from the shechuna, right? And that's the biggest tuna. So the point is that, like, that I've realized how much it's about community and that connection, and how, like, you know, no one's gonna understand God by themselves. That's the rule. Like, God is gonna give 99%. He just needs that 1% from us. I really believe that. And to be honest with you, if you're gonna ask me what it means to be chosen, choosing to do that is what is that one little thing. That's what gives us the status. And without that, we lose our Jewishness, and we can lose our Jewishness. And Jews fall off of Am Yisrael, away from the tree of life, into the generations, and they're ger, and then they're gone, right? And that's terrible.
You don't see yourself ever moving to Israel?
I mean, I can't rule it out because, you know, you're Jewish. You know, I lived in Israel for about a year and a half near Jerusalem, and those were really important times for me. I think that may have, like, planted some seeds for me about, like, my, you know, if I hadn't lived in Israel, I who knows, I might have, there were times where I was in my past an anti-Zionist. I think honest is being, you know, is really listen. It starts with listening to people. You know what I mean? Because everybody has a truth, right? If you don't know what their truth is, how are you going to be honest with them?
And what's the story of your necklace?
Oh, this thing, it's like the hippiest thing I could wear, and I kind of wanted to go for a hippie vibe since I'm hanging out with Ash and Mayan.
So if I ask you, when do you feel Jewish?
Oh, interesting. I feel I'm most Jewish when I'm in contact with other Jews. Easily the right answer to that question. Easily. You know? I guess, like, you know, putting on tefillin, saying the Shema, that's a pretty Jewish moment. I'm learning a lot about that. First of all, I'm learning that the Shema is, like, basically this wholeness that you experience, like, with creation. It's very serious, to be honest with you. It's like, this is why you have to, like, cover your eyes. It's a little intimidating, you know? But afterwards, you get to V'ahavta, it's joy. You're like, oh, that was a relief. We did it. We touched base with Hashem. I love that. I feel better. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Are these swans ruining my close-up?